Let's leave it that way, huh?
What do you mean?
Isn't Danny enough for one day?
Listen, mister, you're starting off with 2 left feet. I was friendly with Danny Eagle, period.
And Steve Rocker?
The same. Only Steve was a little dull. A mind dedicated to comic books. All fighter.
Not according to his last bout.
Yeah. Rocco moved like he was drugged and collapsed in the 3rd, so it's my fault. Oh, the big shot is quite a loser. And don't bother with your next question. I can feel it coming. Why have I stuck?
Yeah, well, it belongs here someplace.
Well, I've stuck because... Well, because I thought that each battle was going to be our last. That sooner or later he'd have time for me.
He's a busy guy, Myra.
So was King Solomon, but he always had room for his wives.
True.
I thought this place was going to be our answer. Just the 2 of us, plus the peace and quiet of the country, with Malibu on hand for a change of pace. So what happens?
Still busy, huh?
Yeah. So busy that he spends 8 hours a day with Jess Weatherwax, a guy he never heard of until he started this camp, but a guy who thrills to hear the lives and loves of Raleigh Lance. And that leaves me with his daughter, Clementine, if I don't talk to the fighters. Clementine, whose shoes are number 9, with an IQ to match. Good night.
Wait a minute, Myra. Where you going?
Going as far as my cabin on an old-fashioned cry. Or maybe just an old-fashioned, I don't know which. Good night.
When Myra pivoted on a spiked heel and stomped off into the dark, I knew that I had to move fast because when next she and hubby met, the fact that I was a private detective was going to become public domain. And from there on out, I'd be of little use to Babe Durney, and if Lance's muscle playmates caught up to me, of no use to anybody. I located Danny Eagle's cabin among half a dozen others, peeking out of a thick grove of pepper trees, showing light from a half-open door. Hey, anybody home? Inside, there was a closed valise on the edge of the only bed. And on the dresser, some money, a package of lemon lifesavers, and a tie clasp. A gold one with a gold angry eagle on it that said Danny was still around. Then he got to talk for himself.
I think you're in the wrong cabin, mister. I haven't vacated yet.
Well, don't you think it'd be easy all the way around if you did, Danny?
Right now, I'm not looking for the easy way, mister. I've been walking and thinking about that. That and a pair of people I don't like. A pair I want to square myself with. Mr. and Mrs. Raleigh Lance. Oh!
It was purely a case of mistaken identity. But it served as a reminder that it still took 2 to make a fight. And that the only chance I had left was to get next to Raleigh Lance and keep him away from Danny Eagle. I spent a half hour going from the lodge to Lance's empty cabin to the dining room and every other place where I thought he might be. But finally, I remembered Jess Weatherwax, the one-man fan club whom I located back up at the office.
Oh, hello there, son.
He was peeling off his coat and getting ready for canasta with something uncombed and built like a length of pipe. Who had to be daughter Clementine.
What can I do for you, son?
Mr. Weatherwax, have you seen Lance?
Why, no, Mr. Marlowe. We just came in. You deal, dearest. Yes, Daddy. Is it important?
Very.
Daddy.
Oh, excuse me, child. Mr. Marlowe, my daughter, Clementine.
How do you do?
Very fine, thank you. Mr. Marlowe, Daddy told...
Hey, Marlowe, is that you in there?
Oh, it's Babe Durney.
Yeah, excuse me.
Phil, come with me, quick.
What's wrong?
Lance is dead, Marlowe.
What?
At the edge of the lake on the rocks.
Accident?
I don't know. Come on, Phil.
In just a moment, the second act of Philip Marlowe. But first, the confusion created by Gracie Allen has never been more clearly, more hilariously defined than it will be this Wednesday night when a writer for a national magazine comes to interview her. For the writer also meets some of Gracie's friends who present highly conflicting stories which Gracie does not untangle. It's another merry, mad mix-up which could come only from George Burns and Gracie Allen. So be listening this Wednesday on most of these same CBS stations. Now with our star, Gerald Muhr, the second act of Philip Marlowe, and tonight's story, The Angry Eagle.
sharp lakeshore stones, like countless fighters' fists, had hammered all the life out of Raleigh Lance. And as we stared down at him, the circle of light from the electric lantern in Babe Durney's hand began to dance over the corpse. I took the lantern, turned him away from the twisted body at his feet, and sent him back up the path to camp. Find a phone and quietly call the police. After that, I took another quick look at all that was left of the little big shot. I went up the path myself and got as far as the jagged hole in the rail where Lance had gone through. I had just enough time to see a few things before I was met by Myra. Just like she'd been before, except for a handful of nervous fingers that just couldn't leave her neckline alone.
I saw Babe. He told me about Raleigh. Is it true?
Yeah, it's true, all right. Your husband's dead. Babe just left, so you must have been on your way here when you ran into him. How come?
I had a date to meet my husband. For a chat.
Why here? He didn't strike me as being the romantic type.
He wasn't. Neither was he the type to talk where he could be overheard. Especially when he was cornered.
What do you mean?
I put Raleigh's back against the wall tonight. I finally got hold of a way to make that inflated ego turn loose, his favorite trinket.
Meaning you?
Yes. Marlowe, about an hour ago, I found out that Raleigh was crooked.
Fixed fights?
Yeah. When I left you, I went to our cabin for a drink. But the liquor was all gone. Lance kept spare bottles in the back of his closet, so I went to look.
Found what?
A briefcase. It wasn't Raleigh's, so I opened it. There was $35,000 in it. And a note congratulating him on his coaching of Steve Rocca. Rocca was drugged in that last fight, Marlowe. Raleigh sold him out, and I can prove it.
Oh, that's what you two were going to hash out over here, huh? The price of your silence, which was divorce.
And no strings. Told me he wanted to think, then he was going to give me his answer, but now... That's all unnecessary.
You're so right. Myra, come here. I want to show you something. See? Here on the ground?
What do you... No, I don't see anything.
Somebody put up quite an argument right here before Lance went through the railing.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
And here's something else.
What's that, Marlowe?
It's a gold tie clasp, baby, with an eagle on it.
Danny?
Yeah, Danny Eagle. This changes things plenty, huh?
Danny? I can't believe Danny would murder Raleigh.
Well, you better start believing it and get back to your cabin and stay there with the doors and windows locked.
You think he might go for me
You
next?
were half the beef. Now that he's gone this far, chances are good he's got something nice thought up for you, too. Unless I'm making the king-size mistake and you and Danny turn out to be a team.
Are you crazy?
It could figure both ways, baby. So I'll keep it in mind until I get something more to do with it. Meanwhile, like I said, take care of yourself. I dropped the tie clasp into my pocket and then started looking for its owner, who could be number one candidate for a noose. I decided to try Danny's cabin first, but when I got there, it was dark, with everything just as I'd left it. Until I turned to go. Someone was framed in the doorway. It was the gentleman farmer and novice fight fan, Jess Weatherwax.
You're looking for something special, are you, Mr. Marlowe?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I am.
I figured you would be, what with being a reporter, because I know there's been some kind of a ruckus here tonight.
How did you know there was trouble here?
Well, I happened to be passing by a certain phone a few minutes ago, and I heard that trainer, Babe Durney, calling the police.
Oh. Okay, as long as you know that much, you may as well know the rest. Somebody shoved the boss of this place out through a railing into 100 feet of thin air. He's dead.
Well, Lance murdered? By one of his own men? Oh, no, I don't believe it. He's a good manager. His boys loved him, every one of them.
You should be so loved, especially by a guy like Danny.
Danny Eagle?
None other. And that's only half of it. Your good manager, Mr. Lance, was a fight fixer. One who'd even drug his own stable to be sure to lose. He was as crooked as a hyena's back leg.
He prearranged boxing fights?
That's putting it mildly. His own wife, Myra, pinned that on him just tonight. She didn't go into details. She didn't have to. She had enough proof to make it stick because she was getting a divorce on the strength of it.
Oh, I find it mighty hard to believe all this, Mr. Marlowe.
And here's something else. I'm not a reporter. I'm a private detective.
You're a private detective?
Yeah, called in by Babe Durney because he was worried. Now I am. Anyway, here's what I'm getting at. If you're really sincere about liking your violence according to Marquis of Queensberry rules, you can do me a big favor.
What can I do?